Somehow, some way, we have found ourselves in a Game 7, people. And is it directly related to who performs the best inside the crease? We'll break all that down next, as well as give you our predictions from what was an unbelievable series so far, and who would have thought we'd be in the Game 7 we're about to break down next here on The Crease. Welcome into The Crease. Before we get into all that great Stanley Cup action, I want you to hit that like, follow, and subscribe button right now. Do it. You know you want to. This is the best place to get that hockey information. We get all that stuff. Gage got his freaking Summer Bob jersey in the mail. He's wearing it today, but yeah, you see that name tag right there. Looks like his Florida Panthers faith is waning. But first, I want to give a big shout out to one of our affiliates, and that is Lids. If you are a big hat guy like I am, Lids.com is a place for you. But they don't just have hats, people. They're part of Fanatics now, so you can get all of your big fandom for all of your teams, all the stuff you want, ready to go right there. No problems whatsoever. And Ian is here as well. Thank you, Ian, for coming in, because we're about to get into it. It's all good, man. But Lids, link will be down in the description of this video. You can go there, get your gear, as well as your Stanley Cup Championship hat will be there as well. You know you want that stuff. So go to Lids, use the link in our description of our video, help support the house call and the crease. So let's go ahead and get into it. I was breaking down some stats before we started this recording, and two things stood out to me looking at the past 6 games. The first 3, Florida outperformed, and specifically Bobrovsky outperformed the Oilers and Stuart Skinner. The 2 big areas that I want you to focus on for these statistics are in takeaways and save percentage. The winner of every single game in this series, their goalie is the only goal, that team's goalie is the only one to break a 900 save percentage. The other team's goalie is a sub 900. There has been no equal games on the ice yet for these 2 netminders. All right. Since the first 3 games, Bobrovsky has been a sub 900 save, and Stuart Skinner, baby, plus 900 save percentage. That's number 1. Number 2, in the first 3 games, Florida forced way more takeaways than the Edmonton Oilers did. They went 4 takeaways in favor of Edmonton to 11 for Florida, 4 to 14 in favor of Florida, and then it was 10-10. And since then, Edmonton has only had 1 game where they've had fewer takeaways, and that was game 4, where they won 5-3, 5-6, pretty even split. Since then, they have literally forced more takeaways than Florida, 14-8 in game 5, and a astonishing 18-5 in game 6. Also, big news here. The last 3 game 7s have been won by the road team. Edmonton may become the first team since the 1942 Leafs to come back from an 0-3 deficit and win the Stanley Cup. So I'm going to start off with you, Gage. You're repping the Bob jersey, man. The faith was there early on when you ordered it. All of a sudden, it's waning, my man. I don't even know anymore. I was on here the last time. I was like, you kind of gave him hope. You kind of gave him a little glimmer. That was not good. So where do you see this going, man? What is it going to take for the Florida Panthers to not have the second collapse in 2 years from the Stanley Cup final?
We're witnessing the greatest collapse in modern sports. Don't get it twisted. What potentially could be the greatest collapse in modern sports. The Warriors still hold that title right now. I'm wearing the jersey. Yes, Sergei Bobrovsky needs to be the X factor and have a pitch a damn near shutout. Like, if you hold them under 2 goals or less, Florida probably wins the game. Just need to throw pucks at Stuart Skinner. Just throw them at him. Like, he's doesn't have great defense in front of him. The rebound control is not great, and his defense doesn't give him any help on that end either. So, second chance opportunities are huge. Edmonton's playing way more physical. Florida's got to really, really turn it up, especially in front of the net. and getting redirects and screening shots. Other than that, you have to minimize Connor McDavid. You did it the first 3 games. You can't stop him. You just have to minimize it. Mind the puck, keep possession. But on Edmonton's side, just keep the pressure. They're playing great. Keep Stuart Skinner comfortable in the crease. And like we've always said, you just need about average goaltending. A little above average goaltending, and the Edmonton Oilers are potentially the best team in the league.
And they're getting it right now. Stuart Skinner is playing out of his mind.
So, yeah, they're getting it, and we're seeing what we've all said. If this happens, watch out for Edmonton, even though Ian still thinks they don't belong there.
This is a crush Ian. This is going to crush Ian. He's going to have an off season of just nothing but I guarantee it. The minute Game 7 is over,
Ian's not going to be mad because he lost to the eventual champs.
He's still going to be upset.
Let me say my piece as soon as you get to me. Don't get me started now.
But to be fair, my Game 7 prediction to really wrap this up, I would love to see Florida win. I would love to go to Parade this week. That would be super cool. I would love to wear this jersey to said Parade. But I will be betting on the Edmonton Oilers come tomorrow. Because either my luck curses them and they lose.
Smart bet.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win for me. Either I win a bunch of money,
or you go to Parade.
Florida wins and goes to Parade. Because I have really bad luck and I'm gonna jinx one team and I'm not betting on Florida.
Yeah, I don't blame it. But it's funny, is that we say Edmonton's been playing a little more physical. The really only place you see that's in the takeaways, how they've been pressuring the puck, forcing these turnovers, things of that nature, block shots. But from the hit standpoint, Florida has just been absolutely beating the hell out of Edmonton. I mean, they were 40 plus 23 hits in Game 6 plus 20 in Game 5. They were in a plus 28 in Game 4. They've been absolutely just trouncing them. And the funny story is the games that Edmonton's lost, they've actually been pretty close in the hits, except for Game 1 where they were out hit 25. Since then, they were 30-37 in Game 2, and they were 33-37 actually in favor of the Oilers in Game 3. So it kind of looked like Edmonton stopped trying to play Florida style of hockey where, we're going to have a lot of hits. We're going to try to beat them on the boards. We're going to try to do all these things. They just started playing their game. Hey, if they want to come down and hit us, let them move the puck. Let them get their hits. Let them do these things. We're going to concentrate on our game, blocking shots, puck pressure, things of that nature, forcing these takeaways and really getting into their style of game. And since then, they've been literally, like I said, out hit by a fuck ton. I mean, they only had 16 hits in Game 4. They only had, 29 in Game 5 and 21 in Game 6. They are not trying to hit these guys anymore. They're just going out there and they're playing their style of game, letting Florida get the hits in. And it kind of reminds me of a Boston Bruins team. And they got knocked out early in the playoffs against a team that everyone thought that they would beat. And the commentary on that, I can't remember the year right off the top of my head, but it was, they just looked like they were more interested in going out there and hitting the other team than really playing hockey. And that kind of seems like what's happened here in the last 3 games is based on the numbers. Florida just seems like they just want to go out there and hit them, and they're not focusing on playing hockey. I mean, they're winning the face-off percentage. They're literally out hitting them. They're, all these things are happening. They're getting about the same amount of shots on goal as the Oilers are. But at the end of the day, the big things here are Bobrovsky's save percentage, the takeaways forced, and Stuart Skinner essentially finding his mojo here and what we had been seeing from him early on in the playoffs. So, Ian, I'm going to go to you on this one, man. Is Stuart Skinner just as much of an X factor as Bobrovsky is? And is Florida going to find their way back to what made them a great team in the first 3 games of the series? Because right now, they are 110% playing into the Oilers' hands.
I think Skinner's a huge X factor. Ever since Game 4, he's just kind of stepped it up. Ever since Game 3 when he got beaten Edmonton, he's stepped up. And Edmonton, like you said, Joe, to their credit, has decided to play Edmonton Oilers hockey instead of trying to beat the Florida Panthers at Florida Panthers hockey. That's not going to work when you're built like a team like Edmonton has, and you cannot play as physical a style of game as Florida can. Whereas if Edmonton wants to speed things up and make it a skating game, they can win that. It's a bit easier for them to win a game like that, especially with a team like Florida that plays as physical as they do. And I've kind of had this question for a little while. Is Florida's style of play starting to wear on them? Because you can only throw so many hits before you start feeling it too. And it's just interesting to me. Also, I think the biggest thing, Gage, this is all your fault because you went and prematurely bought the Panthers jersey.
Oh, dude.
And I swear you're a monkey's paw. Outside of the Oilers-Panthers final prediction, everything you've bet on or touched has gone wrong. So
You can look at my Hard Rock account.
hold up the crest. Hold up the crest on
Oh
your...
my God, bro.
Over 32.
Stop betting. Just stop, bro.
Stop it. You're 0 for 32.
Retire the account.
Over 32.
The
Oh my
Angels
God.
would have better luck at the plate than you would on a bet.
I have lost a bet because of the Los Angeles Angels, too.
Who's the worst hitting team in baseball right now? The White Sox? They'd
Yeah.
have better luck at the plate than Gage would on a bet, especially since this man decided to go up by the jersey. So I'm
It
sorry
wasn't
that I had
supposed to
to.
get here until after the series was over, and now the series is going to
The
Game
problem
7.
is you ordered it before the series, and you decided to touch it and before the series ended, and you've jinxed it. I'm sorry, Gage. This is all your fault. But
No, it's because I live in the state of Florida now, so I must suffer.
please move to Edmonton. Gage, just move to Edmonton. I need the Oilers.
Pack your shit right now and get a flight. Pack
Get
your
a
shit right
flight.
now and get a
Go
flight.
to Edmonton, and I want you to live there from October to June. And until the Oilers, I need the Oilers to miss the playoffs for a decade consecutively, and I need the Panthers to win tomorrow so that when you do that, McDavid will never, ever win a cup. Draisaitl will never win a cup in Edmonton, and he will leave. And they'll go cupless, and I just don't want anything nice to happen to that city. I hate Edmonton. No, but on a real note, rant aside, I think the point we've been forgetting is Florida's power play has been atrocious. It's been a net positive for Edmonton to be shorthanded in this series. I think Edmonton's outscored Florida 3-0 on shorthand when Florida's on the power play this series. It's been awful. So I think they have to get that figured out. Will they? I don't know. I'm betting on probably not. There's too much momentum going Edmonton's way right now. And hopefully with all that, Canada gets their souls crushed yet again because I don't want to see Canada win a cup. And you're hearing all the vile hate and vitriol coming out right now. But what was the other question you had, Joe, besides Skinner being an X factor before I got on this rant?
I mean, honestly, that was pretty much my thing. Was like, is he the biggest X factor? Or are we about to see one of the biggest collapses in sports? I mean, this has been
No, not one of the biggest collapse in modern sport.
This is a bigger collapse than 28-3?
Yes.
or bigger collapse of losing an undefeated season to the New York Giants.
I'm going to say also yes.
Oh my God, dude! You just so much stress relief for my life.
Awful.
No, it's because 7-game series. It's so hard to beat a team 4 times in a row.
Oh yeah,
Football, it's a crapshoot. It really is. Who's
And
better
good
than
as I
Hockey's
am.
also a bigger Hockey's also a crapshoot. Hockey's the ultimate crapshoot.
No, I really do not believe that. Football.
If
any
hockey's
given
not a
Sunday is
crapshoot, then why didn't Boston sweep Florida last year?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
I mean, again, it's hard to beat a team 4 times in a row.
Yeah,
It
It's
is, and
not wrong.
sometimes the puck just doesn't bounce your way. I mean, if
It's
Marchand
real.
buries that puck at the end of the third period, we're not talking about Florida going to the Cup final last year. We're talking about them getting
He couldn't
beat
lift it over
5.
the blocker, man. He just couldn't lift it over the pad. Like it was just. A little
I mean,
bit
if
high.
the Devils
There was
could
a
have
clear
had,
open spot. He
if the
couldn't-
Devils could have scored a couple more goals last year, they don't lose to Carolina in 5. Sometimes that's just how the puck goes.
Things here. We're talking losing a 3-0 lead compared to, they would have lost in 5.
You can get unlucky 3 straight games. I don't think the Panthers have gotten unlucky. I think they've been straight up outplayed.
The only game they had a good game in this 3-game stretch was Game 5. And
Game
they
five,
looked
No,
they
Game
had-
6. Game 5, they played bad. Or was
Game 6, they looked bad.
No, Game 6, you're right. Game 5. I get those two confused.
Game
just
5
because
at Sunrise was their
Game
best chance to put this away.
And they
should have
lost
gotten it done
8-1.
in Florida. Well, they can get it done in Florida tonight, but they can. I don't know if they will,
This
to
is
be honest.
I just, for Warriors fans out there that, might be a hockey fan too, your team will no longer be remembered for blowing a 3-1 lead because the team will have blown a 3-0 lead. So, good for you guys.
No, they'll be remembered for a hand pass against St. Louis in 2019.
Huh?
You're talking about...
Because, Golden State fans are probably Sharks fans.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
Who's really a Sharks fan?
pain, bro. That's pain, bro.
Yeah, you want to talk about pain, be a Sharks fan.
Oh, my God.
I'd sooner say they're probably Kings or Ducks fans.
Kings and Ducks fans have
You got a 30, I was going to say.
2007 is more recent than never.
He's got a point. He's got a point.
Speaking of 2007, I mean, if the Oilers win tonight, Corey Perry will have won his first cup in 17 years. So good for him. I
do like seeing Corey Perry within the cup.
I do too. I kind of
not this way.
Not this way. I kind of hate how Corey Perry didn't win a cup with us in 2020. But
I hate how he didn't win a cup in Tampa Bay.
That was torture. Losing to Tampa Bay twice, only to lose in Tampa Bay. And at the end of it all, Carl was just there with the biggest smile on his face. Highly unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, that's my piece. My prediction, because all my predictions have been wrong so far, I'm hoping this one is too. Edmonton will get it done 4-3 in overtime in Florida. What would be the funniest way for this to go is like the Philadelphia-Boston Game 7, where Boston jumped up to a 3-0 lead and Philly scored 4 goals to win the series.
Oh my God! That would be the icing on the cake of a true collapse.
I mean, it's happened before. It's happened before, Joe. Your Boston Bruins have done it back in 2010. But I mean, nobody remembers that because they won the cup the next year.
Yeah, man, that'd be crazy. Now, I will say this: I do like your score prediction. However, Edmonton has not won a game where they have not scored at least 5 goals.
That's why I'm wrong. I mean, all my score predictions have
so skewed because of the empty netters. They've won games with scoring less than 5 goals.
No, they haven't, because the empty netters are just as much goals as the ones with whatever works. That's like saying who's the guy? The Jets are so trash, I can't even remember who. Garrett Wilson getting a wide open touchdown doesn't count because there wasn't a corner covering him.
I mean, it usually doesn't mean anything either.
No, it doesn't.
That's like a corner waving an incomplete when he was like beat by 12 yards and the wide receiver dropped it. All right, that's what that's like.
Anyway,
it's like celebrating something that you didn't do.
Anyway, I'm just gonna say it's gonna be 5-3 on the empty netter. Just
5-3 with an empty netter
for Edmonton, mind you.
For Edmonton,
mind you.
Please be wrong.
What's the line right now for Edmonton? What do you got going? What's it looking like?
Real quick.
What do you got? I just wanted to know, like, what are the chances that you win? Like, how much money is it going to be?
Let me get to NHL. As of, oh my gosh, they're not even plus money.
You're losing money either way.
Yikes. So, the Edmonton Oilers.
Don't you dare put a bet on the Panthers.
Panthers are slightly less money. Slightly. It's minus 105 on the Oilers, minus 115 for the Panthers.
What's the points? Take the points.
So why just place a bet just so that you can lose money.
Yeah, the over hit 5.5 is looking good.
Yeah, I would go the over.
I'd go the over
5.5. Yeah.
The over looks great.
But I will be doing both. I will be parlaying the over and the Edmonton Oilers.
I mean, there's only been one game that didn't go over 5.5, or 2 games, I think. Game 1 was game 1 and game 2 were the only ones that haven't gone over 5.5. 0-3-1-4.
Nothing against you. It will be the greatest day of my life if if your parlay doesn't hit and the Oilers lose tomorrow.
Oh, I'll be so happy.
Hey, you get to go to a parade.
And then your car breaks down on the way to the parade.
You'll take a train. You'll figure it out.
Just whatever. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, because knowing my luck, the Edmonton Oilers will win and the over will hit. So I will still miss my parlay, and they will still win.
No,
You get neither. You miss the parlay and you don't get a parade.
No, in all
man.
seriousness, though, I'm just jealous because if the Panthers do win, I wish that parade could have been in Dallas so I could have driven down there to go watch. But it is.
I will be throwing $5 to win 20 on this motherfucking game. Actually, $10 to win 20 on this game.
That's gas miles to go to the parade, bro.
No, just double it. Go 20 to win 40.
What parade? If I win, there's no fucking parade.
You're not wrong. Not wrong. Well, I mean, hell, that's a good 30 rack right there. You can drink your sorrows.
Well, you can always use the money you win to fly to Edmonton for the parade.
That ticket's gonna be so expensive. Wear your Bob jersey in Edmonton. That'd be hilarious. But yeah, I mean, you guys are right. Like this is probably going to be the largest collapse in modern day sports. I don't think we have never seen like I said, the Golden State Warriors blowing a 3-1. That was pretty crazy. We have now, like I said, the last time this happened, 1942, and I don't know if you know what was going on in the 40s, but this is that's a weird. This has been a long time, almost 100 years, and we are about to see the possibility of it happening again with one of the greatest goal scorers the game has ever seen, chasing a playoff record that has seemingly never been touched. And if they pull it off, the city of Edmonton is probably going to burn to the ground.
I hope it burns to the ground without a trophy.
I mean, that won't happen. They don't do that. They just, I don't think we've seen Canada
looking right at you,
celebrate
Vancouver.
a little too much. Yeah, we've seen Canada when they win things.
Montreal after winning one game in the final against Tampa Bay.
Bro. So,
I mean, switch the last two.
The big question here,
1942.
The big question here that we have to remember, and we have to ask ourselves is, this is 2 Stanley Cup Finals runs in a row where the Florida Panthers have lost. First one, they just got outplayed. Second one, they full-on collapsed. If you're ownership, right, if you're the GM of the Florida Panthers, what do you do? Because you can get there. You're clearly the class of the East, but you can't get past any West team. If you lose tonight, or what happens? What happens if Florida loses this game with that roster? You have to make changes, wouldn't you? I mean, is just getting to the Stanley Cup enough?
I want to say you maybe take the Bruins blueprint from 2011 where they got reverse swept, but this is a much bigger series than that because back then, I mean, they got rid of Blake Wheeler, they got rid of Dennis Weidman, and Tim Thomas was back healthy. Florida doesn't have an injured goalie. And what gets understated a lot is the reason they got rid of Wheeler. The other reason they got rid of Wheeler is because they needed a role player like Rich Peverly, and they had Tyler Seguin coming up. So Wheeler at that point was expendable. I don't think it was much because he collapsed in the playoffs. Florida doesn't have a top prospect forward coming in. What Florida's really kind of missing and been missing this series is that dynamic offensive defenseman. They don't have it this year. Montour's not that player that he was last year. Edmonton does have it. And that's kind of been the problem with their power play. They don't have anybody up top that can quarterback it. That's really the issue that I've seen with their power play because I love Ekman Larson. He's not that guy anymore. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the forward core outside of they tend to want to overhit and not play the puck. I think you need another defenseman. You need a dynamic offensive defenseman on your roster. And, well, who do you keep if you're the Florida Panthers? Let's go through the names on the roster. Let me pull up the
defenseman?
Forward and defense, and I'll just say the name, and we'll say stay or go. I'll list their playoff points, and then I'll say keep or go. Let's see. My internet's slow. I apologize.
No, you're fine. I can start with the defenseman. You got Ekblad.
Go.
Ooh, little transfer. I mean, he's 28.
But his injury history. I mean, last year his body was literally falling apart. And he's not the defenseman he once was. I've got it pulled up. So I think the first two are obvious. Barkov, 22 points.
I think you got to keep Barkov.
Stay, absolutely. Kachuk, 22 points, stay. Carter Verhaeghe, 19 points, 10 of those are goals. Stay. Lundell, 3 goals, 13 assists.
Stay.
Defensive force. Here's the one that's interesting. He's a free agent this summer. Sam Reinhart. Can Florida afford to keep him?
Probably not, but if you can, stay.
Evan Rodriguez.
Is he a free agent? Because he's gonna garner more money this year.
Yeah, he's got 14
he's
playoff points.
years old. I'm good with him leaving.
I'm okay with leaving for the money.
Yeah, he'll get overpaid, and you can replace a guy like that, even though I like Evan Rodriguez.
I do. He's had a great playoff run.
He's been better than what I thought he was. It's a better fit for him in Florida than it was Colorado.
Yes, but now he's going to get paid way more than he's worth somewhere else and not perform.
Probably, and it's probably going to be a team like Ottawa.
Yes.
Or New Jersey. All right, Gustav Forsling, stay. Has to. That deal's too cheap. And they just signed him to an 8-year extension. Montour.
Probably stay because of the contract.
Tarasenko, free agent this offseason.
Gone.
Go.
Losterinen.
Gone.
Ekman Larson.
He had a better year, but I don't think they keep him.
I don't think so either. And that's kind of the big names that I can bring up. Like, I don't want to bother with guys like Mikkola, Steven Lawrence. We know Kyle Okposo is probably going to retire after the year. Nick Cousins is dead.
Who's a liability on the fourth line, surprisingly enough?
Yeah, he's just 36, and he's playing like he's 36. So
he's getting a lot of penalty minutes.
I like Lawrence in the lineup better with Ryan Lomberg or Nick Cousins.
Also, Sam Bennett is a must keep.
Yeah, you have to keep Sam Bennett. So going through that, I don't see a lot of changes you can make to the roster. You are absolutely not getting rid of Sergei Bobrovsky, regardless of how bad he played in the finals, because one, his contract is too big, and two, franchise goalies aren't given away for free.
Yeah, ask around the league.
Yeah, I mean, as much as Stars fans sometimes malign Jake Ottinger, he's better than most of the goalies in the league. You can't, franchise goalies don't come around often, and they're not cheap. I mean, outside of what the Devils just got for Markstrom, which, congratulations, Gage, that's a great trade for the Devils.
Kevin Ball.
I'm also not thinking Craig Conroy is that great of a GM because his trades have been underwhelming. He's undersold his assets.
Also, Calgary's keeping 33% of his contract, quarter.
Yeah, exactly. And all you get is what, a second rounder and Kevin Ball, or a first rounder?
Oh yeah, you get a first round pick and Kevin Ball.
A first round pick makes it better, but for a guy like Markstrom who did have a good year,
pick is not going to be great.
No, it's a middling pick.
Yeah.
But guys like that, so like I said to your point, Joe, what can they really change? Do they bring in a superstar?
They try to aim for a superstar. There's some questions out there for some, maybe you cycle some free agent defensemen. There's a couple that are in their early or late 20s. Got a couple right there at 30. You got, there's a couple out there that, especially if you're looking for something with a little more offensive bite, and you want to be able to cover up for some of their defensive, inefficiencies. You have a team that can do that. And there's some guys out there that are going to be coming up on these free agent deals right now that are going to be there. And the funny thing is that Florida has about 2 or 3 guys defensively that are going to be free agents. And they're the older kind of guys. You got Dmitry Kulikov. He's going to be a free agent coming up here. So, Ekman Larson, like you said, he's a free agent.
I'd love to see him in Dallas, but if he signs in Florida, great for him. Let me ask you this. So with all the talk around the Leafs, if there is one team that it could work for in the playoffs, what if the Panthers got a guy like Mitch Marner? You've got enough physicality to make up for his deficiencies, and he's a 90-point scorer in his sleep in the regular season. With his perimeter game, you've got enough big bodies in front like Sam Bennett and Matthew Tkachuk, and those guys can rub off on him and teach him a little bit of grit and sandpaper. Maybe his perimeter game is what the Panthers need. I don't think they need another forward necessarily. I think they need to focus on getting an offensive driver on the blue line. But I mean, Marner wouldn't be the worst thing to add if you're the Panthers. You've got the grit and sandpaper. You've got it in spades. Marner wouldn't hurt you.
I mean, there's a couple other options out there too.
He just does not.
Defensively, he's excellent.
You got Dylan DeMello out of Winnipeg. He's a free agent, 31. He's got a good offensive rating.
Okay.
He's going to come in at a cheap price.
Is he the best available though?
No, I mean, you got Sean Walker out of Colorado for the Avs, 29.
They're good. They're good pieces, but they need a number one offensive driver like what Ekblad used to be.
Okay, so hear me out. Older player, great offensive defenseman, unrestricted free agent next year.
Burns would be fantastic. Burns would be excellent in Florida.
You got Eric Gustafson, 32. He's going to be a free agent.
I think Brent Burns will be affordable, and he's playoff experience up and down his career. Great offensive talent, not a liability on defense either, and can run a power play.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what Florida's issue is right now. Brent Burns could solve a lot of those problems if you want to bring him in on a short, cheap deal.
Yes, he's going to be 40. He's going to be 40 next year.
What was his production this year?
I'd have to look.
But it's clear that they have questions, and they're going to lose defensemen. They have holes to fill. They're going to be signing someone. There's going to be changes, specifically because I think I just noticed they have 3 of their current, defensemen that are going to be free agents.
Burns had 43 points this year. Not a bad year. 10 of those are goals. You don't necessarily Brent Burns is, what is he at this point in his career? He's a power play specialist. That's a problem for Florida. They don't have a power play guy. He can move the needle offensively.
He played all 82 games last year.
He's not his, what do we say, the best availability, the best ability
is availability.
The best ability is availability.
So here's my question, right? So we know that Kulikov, I believe Montour, and Ekman-Larsson are all free agents. If you could get
Brett Burns was also a plus 19 this year.
If you could get a Brett Burns, Eric Gustafson, insert third option here, which based on the Athletic, which I was just reading, they're all projected to have within about $700,000 contract-wise per year annual value of each other for what they're coming up on. Would you not make the switch to try to get Eric Gustafson, Burns, and one insert third option here?
I'd get Burns and Montour. I wouldn't want Burns and Gustafson on the same team or on the same blue line, just because Burns isn't good enough defensively to overcome what a guy like Gustafson is defensively. Gustafson's not good at all defensively. He'll move the needle offensively for you a little bit.
But that's what they're looking for. You said they're looking for offensive.
But not enough for him to command. Not enough for him to be. I don't think Florida needs a guy like Gustafson enough to need to sacrifice their defense for what he brings. Gustafson would be a liability for them. I think Burns would be the perfect fit. I think you have to keep
3 holes.
and Montour.
So you got Burns, Montour, but you're still losing.
Then bring in Dylan DeMello in the offseason. Bring in Dylan DeMello and sign for a cheap deal. You'll get him at $1 million.
He's actually average. It looks like his average is about 4.3 million is what they're expecting right now per year.
He won't get as much as that, I don't think. If you can bring him in on a cheap deal, he's perfect. He's a Florida Panthers defenseman. Burns moves the needle offensively, and you don't really want to lose a guy like Montour.
I mean, you don't. But at the same time, of all the free agents I listed, Montour is the one that you may not have a choice in.
That's true, unless you get rid of Reinhart and decide Lundell's ready for an elevated role on the team, which he might be, but at the same time, he's not the goal scorer that Reinhart is, so that might take priority there. It's just a tough situation because you look at their cap space and you look at their contracts and the guys coming up that need to be re-signed. This might have been their last shot.
May have been. And like I said, this all moot. It's a moot point if they win, but if you win, great.
If you win, great. If you lose, you're going to feel that, especially because you really can't bring the same personnel back just because from a locker room perspective, if you get reverse swept, there's no way you can look around a locker room the guys that are in that room and say this group can get it done. Losing in a crushing fashion like that, you honestly can't look around that room and say we can do it. At least not in my opinion. Because look at the changes that the Sharks made after they got reverse swept. Thornton got stripped of the captaincy. Antti Niemi was gone. I believe Douglas Murray was gone the next year. Unless he wasn't there. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Douglas Murray was there. They got rid of some guys, and they missed the playoffs the next year. So Florida's got so much pressure on them. They've got the most pressure on them in the history of sports going into this game, and I don't think that's debatable.
Well, that's because one way or the other, they're making history.
Or
no, first Stanley Cup for a franchise, or the largest choke in modern sports. One way or another.
It's history, baby.
Either way.
One way or the other, Florida is making history. But, hey, that's the nature of sports. It's the nature of a 7-game series. That's what we say. It's so hard to beat a professional team 4 times in a row. That's why sweeps are rare. You don't see them happen very often. And yet, a reverse sweep, even more so. But it's all going to happen. Game 7 Stanley Cup Finals. Cannot wait. Like I said, be sure to check out Lids. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on all our social media platforms. And be sure, stay tuned on the creases. We'll be going into our Hockey 101 segments in the offseason, breaking down the basics of hockey and allowing the fandom to grow right here on the creases. Until next time, see you later, hockey fans.